I'm Pearl Pereira. My business is P3 Designs, and I'm working on a new quilt called Into the Woods. And I am posting these short little sneak peek videos of some of the tips and techniques that I'm using while I'm making my piece. Now, today I'm showing you the raspberry plant that is on the skunk block. Of course, you're not going to get to see the skunk block today, but it's these little flowers right here. Now, these bees I've already talked about before in the friendly forest, and you can see how to do those. You can see that I have them already stenciled in, their head, antenna, and legs. And the next thing I'll do on those is I'll put on their velvet bodies and embroider their stripes on them. But today we're going to talk about these little flowers on the raspberry bush. They have little teeny tiny flowers. Well, mine are a little bit bigger, but that's okay. So what happens here is you can see that I kind of have an arch design going on here with my little stamens that are coming out of the flower. So what I've done is I have taken a piece of freezer paper, and I'm going to take a piece of blue tape. I will lay it down on the shiny side of the freezer paper because we want to be able to remove this. And on one end, I usually flip this up so that I can easily remove this so it's not totally stuck down. The other thing is I use a circle template, and I found that the one that I wanted to use was about the 3/4 inch circle. Now you can just do this with a nickel, a quarter, anything that you can find that is the size of a 3/4 inch circle. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come over here to my freezer paper and tape, and I am going to, and I'm not going to mark the whole circle, but what I am going to mark is I am going to mark the center line here and the center line here and the center line on this one edge. I'm going to draw a little bit over half of my circle, only the upper portion of it, so I extended about 1/8 inch on either side of my little halfway marks. And then I'm going to come in here and I am going to draw that straight line. Now I wanted this halfway mark in here so that I know where the center is, because my stamens will radiate out from that center point. Once you have this, then you can come over here and with a rotary cutter, you can just cut your straight line. I don't usually try to cut the circular line, and I find that if I try to cut with my X-Acto blade, my Fiskar knife, sometimes because it doesn't really stick to the freezer paper, you can't really cut this line out here. So what I'm going to do, oops, it's just as bright on the other side. What I'm going to do is I am going to use my curved scissors, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to cut out my arch. Now this is my embroidery template. This is where I will be keeping all of my stitches inside this radius because I wanted this round effect. Okay, so now I can remove my template from my freezer paper. We don't need the freezer paper or the cutting mat anymore, so let's move those out of the way. I will cut down my tape just slightly, just so that it's not so large. And the next thing I do with this is I bring back my block that I'm working on, and I want to, now I do know from doing this one is that my halfway mark is here, and I want that down just slightly so that I can see the lowest point where I'm going to be embroidering. See if I can the opposite direction. Come in. There we go. Okay, zoom in just a little bit on that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place this on my flower. And once I have it placed, I can tape it down. And now when I'm stitching and doing my embroidery pistol stitches, I have a perfect arched area that I can keep my stitches in. And I know my center stitch is going to be right off the center line. So I'm going to come up right here. And the nice thing about the pistol stitch, it is a very easy stitch. It's just come in, you're going to take your thread, you're going to wrap it around one time, and this time I'm going straight up to the top. So I just wrapped it around once, and then I will pull it through. Don't pull it through too tightly because sometimes you will and you'll pull the whole thing through. I am using Sulky 12 weight thread. This is the variegated yellow, and it's at number 4002. I like it because when I'm doing these stamens, then I can, now I'm kind of divided this up. I'm going to do like 2 more stitches here that are the tallest ones. So I'm just finding out where that is in position to my center line and where it lines up next to my previous stitch. And I'm going to come in here, and then I'll take my next pistol stitch. One wrap, one wrap, and then just pull this through. Okay. I like the variegated threads because they change color, and it gives you just that little bit of added interest in your embroidery when it changes colors. So, and I did 3. Okay, the same thing happens on the opposite side. So I'm going to stitch, and then I'll speed this up when I get this done, and I'll come right back. Now I have my outermost, and I did 5 stitches there. My outermost pistol stitches are out there at the top. Now I'm going to come back, and I will do some more pistol stitches because I have quite a few of them in there. But this time I'm going to come in about maybe 1/8 of an inch lower than my previous stitches. And I will just keep that there so I can do that. So I'm going in between those previous stitches. Pistol stitches are very easy, and if they're a little loose between your little French knot at the end, it's okay, because then they'll look a little squiggly and they'll look like they might look in nature. They're kind of not always just standing straight up. Okay, come on. Now, my next row of stitches are even shorter. So I just keep filling this in until I get it to look exactly the way I want. And I'm going between stitches. I'm trying to stay between each of the stitches. Now I can throw in a longer one if I want a longer one in here, or I can put a shorter one in here. It's really up to you how full you want your stamens to look. I just found that I wanted to have some short ones, some long ones, but I still wanted to keep my little arch. Now you can probably take off your tape while you're making these last ones, but I generally leave it in there just in case I want to make any other long ones and I want them to stay within that radius arch that I have there. They're lots of fun, they're fairly easy to make, and I love the color variation in the thread. So let's do this last stitch here, and I'm going to pull off my template and we're going to get a look at how it looks. Okay, so this one has a lot lighter threads over here, so I'm probably going to come back and hopefully my thread will now be in a position where it has, no, it's still in the light. But I could go ahead and I could tie off and start with a darker piece of thread. But mainly here I think I just want to add a few more little stitches, and then I'm going to call this one good. I kind of like it already. So, whoops, one wrap around and down. And I wanted that one to be just a little bit longer over there. So now you can see my little stamens on all of the two flowers that are going to have stamens on this little branch of raspberries. And this is on the skunk block. And I was reading that skunks like to eat raspberries, so that's why they are on this block. So keep watching for more sneak peek videos on the Into the Woods quilt, which will be coming out in January 2023. Keep stitching, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.